So, Donald Trump came out today yesterday on Monday, and he was talking about how now he wants to give DACA recipients a pathway to citizenship. There's a few things that we can discuss on that one. Remember, he filed a brief in the Supreme Court for them to take down DACA because it was illegal, because Obama did it illegally, even though that's actually wrong. Obama actually did an executive order, which the Republicans had no issue with when George W. Bush was president. So, instead of doing this alone, I brought a guest on. I've been on his podcast. You guys saw me do I think it was my second or third video, was the reaction to the No Nonsense podcast with Oscar Montiel and Naim Abu-El Hawa. And it was a good podcast. We recently did another one. Go check that out. No Nonsense podcast. I might do a reaction to that. But, so I brought a guest on. Naim, what's up?
Hey, how are you, Jason? How's everything? I hope you're doing well on this Tuesday morning.
You know, it's doing good. I've had a Dr. Pepper. What you doing? I remember you had a milkshake, right?
I did actually finish a milkshake just now. I needed my middle of the night sweet treat, so.
And middle of the night puff, huh?
Yeah, I was kind of shaken awake, so I needed something to calm me down, bring me back to earth.
Yeah, you know, it happens. So I want to get your take on this. So the Trump administration went out and was actually saying that it wants to, Trump wants to give DACA recipients a pathway to citizenship. What is your take on that?
So, admittedly, I heard the interview he had done with Jose Diaz-Balart from Telemundo on Friday. This was this past Friday, July 10th.
Right.
Yeah, and it kind of sounded like he said it on a whim. Like he had consulted his team of advisors. He just kind of said, yeah, expect an executive order coming out in the next 3 or 4 weeks surrounding establishing a pathway to citizenship for DACA recipients, because we'd like for them to become citizens, or he said some sort of, colorful Trump thing like that. But it sort of sounded like he just kind of said that, it just kind of like fell into the context of what they were talking about. Intentional in any way. So if he says he's going to craft an executive order to allow them a pathway to citizenship, knowing the conservatives, I don't know that they're going to allow him to do something like that. It kind of sounded like he just said that. And I was wondering, was this as a result of political pressure put on him because of... Fill me in on your point of view.
Can you repeat that? Is he doing it because of what?
Is he doing it because of political pressure put on him as a result of the decision, the Supreme Court DACA decision? What's your point of view? How does the executive branch share its relationship with the judicial branch?
Well, I think that the reason he feels so close to the judicial branch and he takes his cases up there is because he's got Gorsuch and Kavanaugh that he's confirmed. When the Supreme Court made that decision, it really underscored just how angry the conservative evangelicals were. The Ben Shapiros, the Sean Hannity's of the world. And it just really showed, like, Trump putting in those people was for Mitch McConnell to say, hey, I put these people on the cards, I gotta tell you. Now that argument is gone, right? There could be a thing, I think the way I see it is, conservatives don't really want to touch the issue right now because of their re-elections. If the polls were better, they wouldn't really be worried and would say, hey, you know what, go ahead, let's try and draft it again. Because what the Supreme Court effectively said is it is unconstitutional, right? DACA is. And it's not unconstitutional what you're trying to do, Trump. But you need to come up with an actual argument, because we're judges. We need an actual argument, right? Gorsuch and who was the other judge that voted on it?
I think Gorsuch, Justice Gorsuch, and I think it was Justice Alito.
No, not Alito. Not Alito. It was
No, it wasn't. Could have been Thomas.
Not Clarence Thomas. Stevens? Is there
There's Roberts. Well, good question. Roberts, I know. Roberts.
Yeah,
Kavanaugh.
Roberts, he did it. So Gorsuch and Roberts did it, right? And so what's going on is he had a choice because he refiled the brief. But conservatives, I think the way I put it is conservatives might have spoken to him going, look, you idiot, we can't be doing this right now. We can't actually get rid of DACA. We're going to lose. So this could possibly be a pander to the left. Why vote Joe Biden? I've got the power. I'll give you the pathway to citizenship. It could be so that the left will vote with him or for him. But it could also mean, hey, maybe these people will vote Republican in 2 years when the midterms come up. So I think there's two things. Conservatives are pushing him not to get rid of DACA. And they're saying, hey, give him a pathway to citizenship to win the elections. And then we'll fuck him over later. Or Trump's just talking out of his ass. Because as you said, I mean, you got Stephen Moore, you got Stephen Miller, you got Peter Navarro, you know, you got Larry Kudlow, Jared Kushner. I mean, all of them saying, no, you're not actually going to do this. So it could be that conservatives are telling him, hey, do this so we can win. Don't refile the brief. Or the other conservatives in the White House are saying, no, we're not going to let you do that. So I think there's two possibilities.
And when I watched Friday night's interview on Telemundo.com, it kind of just sounded, like I said, it kind of just sounded like he just dropped it. You know, it wasn't like him and Jose Diaz-Balart talked about it before shooting the interview, you know? Just kind of was like, oh, that just came up. But I don't think really the news cycle picked up on it enough because they were so focused on him communicating the sense of Roger Stone. You know, the Russiagators went crazy about that. And, Robert Mueller put out, I don't know if you saw his op-ed that came out in the Washington Post Saturday night, which basically said, Roger Stone is a convicted felon. Yes, Roger Stone is, a corrupt. He obstructed justice. He lied to Congress. But ultimately, he did not have no back channels to WikiLeaks, or none of that was found. So I hope that shoots Chris Hayes' theory and Rachel Maddow's theory that Roger Stone had back channels to WikiLeaks and Julian Assange right in the heart. It just kills that theory and it falls apart, which Robert Mueller, Special Counsel Mueller, made that very clear in his report, the famous Mueller report, over a year ago. But it's funny how Chris Hayes and other folks still like to bring that stuff up when that's been proven to be non-existent or there's no evidence to substantiate a claim like that. So, and Roger Stone's no good guy either, so I never thought I would find myself in a position where I'm defending him. However, and yes, he is a convicted felon, and yes, he did obstruct justice and lied to Congress. But I think Roger Stone intentionally wanted to make himself sound more important than he was, and ultimately he had no real back channels to Julian Assange and WikiLeaks or communication anyway with them, as he made it out to sound back in, say, 2018.
Yeah, and I think too, I mean, it's funny how they're focused on this when Trump just said, I'm going to give a pathway to citizenship to DACA recipients. Ask about it, damn it, ask about it. Like, come on, man. Hold his feet to the fire. Come on, ask him about it, dude. Wolf Blitzer, who they have live on CNN. What do you think is going to happen in the Trump administration? Ask about it, man. Ask about it. I know we're talking about DACA, but on this, I don't agree with Trump pulling him out of his sentence because he did commit a crime. He did. I mean, there's no ands, ifs, or buts about it, right? He absolutely committed a crime. He needs to be in jail. He lied to Congress. He lied to the FBI. He obstructed justice. Any of us would be in jail for that.
Indeed, and he had a 40-month sentence waiting for him.
Right. But
technically today, Tuesday.
Right. But, and I know you just heard something fall, but I just love how anybody claims that Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow are progressives. Hell no, they're not progressives because they're resisting Trump from the right, and they're bringing back Russiagate Part 2, and they're oh my God, I can't believe it. He's not. Oh my God, he's taking his prison sentence away. Yeah, it's right to freak out about that, but then they come up with these conspiracy theories, and it's like you're not progressives. Not for damn sure. Like you're not a progressive if you're resisting Trump from the right. And when you're resisting Trump from the right, that is exactly what happens when you're not a progressive. When you work for a corporate shill like MSNBC, who's in the pocket of the DNC. That's why Trump calls it MSDNC.
Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes, and the likes are now basically going to become propaganda mouthpieces for the Russia warhawks who want a proxy war with Russia, asymmetric warfare. They learned that from Iran's playbook in Afghanistan. Commuting a political ally's sentence or communicating a political friend's time to serve as a convicted felon is very, very wrong and is disgusting and is corrupt. However, Donald Trump is no less corrupt in this regard than, say, Bill Clinton, for example, or Gerald Ford in pardoning Richard Nixon. Bill Clinton had commuted the sentence or pardoned a political ally himself. Now, the only difference is Bill Clinton had done it hours before he had walked out of office, literally. So there was no political price to pay. Gerald Ford had pardoned Richard Nixon as well. But so Donald Trump did not do anything that's any more corrupt than what they had done. He had just done it at such a weird time in an election cycle that's highly contested. And this may end up having him shoot himself in the foot. This may be a harm to his election odds, or it may be insignificant because, frankly, people care more about the COVID-19 pandemic, the coronavirus, how they're going to stay alive, how they're going to maintain their bills financially, economically, and also health-wise. It's a public health crisis that's only getting worse and worse and worse. And we don't care about whether Roger Stone's sentence was commuted or not. Disgusting guy, very corrupt. But frankly, we're concerned with our health and well-being more. And, I don't want to take away the importance of your point. I do feel that Rachel Maddow is going to become a mouthpiece for the propagandists who support Joe Biden, by the way, who will vote him into office to continue the war in Afghanistan and extend it to a proxy war against Russia in Afghanistan.
Yeah, and the thing too is, now you mentioned, of course they're going to vote for Joe Biden. And look at what Rachel wanted with the Taliban thing, where they said, oh, Russia paid money for the Taliban. Oh, you damn bullshitters. Of course they didn't do that. Now, if they did, we did it back to them in the 1980s with the Mujahideen, as I've mentioned on this podcast before. But now...
And here's the thing, let me say to that, if that turns out to be true, that's been the case for the past 20 years. That has been the case ever since we've been in Afghanistan. There have been bounties paid, there have been bounties on heads. That's just common practice. That's just MO. That's natural. The best way to prevent that is for us to just get the heck out of Afghanistan altogether and save our service members, servicemen and women,
right,
and get them out of Afghanistan altogether. Trump's talking about withdrawing 4,000 troops. Why not withdraw everyone? Why just 4,000 troops?
Right.
Biden wants to increase, potentially increase. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm just trying to remember what you were talking about before.
Rachel Maddow being a propaganda mouthpiece.
Well, besides that, you mentioned the pandemic, and you mentioned one more thing.
We don't care about Roger Stone's sentence being commuted.
So right. So Donald, so first on Rachel Maddow and all of them, yeah, they're going to be freaking mouthpieces. And yeah, they want war with Russia because they're warmongers. And the corporate media pays their fucking salaries. And then those salaries end up making them millions and millions of dollars, billions of dollars the media is spending to spread that propaganda. And when they got assholes like Chris Hayes and Rachel Maddow, who are spreading that propaganda and say, oh, they're progressives. Oh, they're progressives. No, they're not progressives. They're not progressives. Look, they're going to get us into a deeper war. And now on the pandemic, Donald Trump's done a horrible job. He just filed a brief in the Supreme Court to get rid of healthcare for 20 million more people, to tell the Supreme Court to say it is unconstitutional, it is illegal, let's get rid of the regulations, and let's just get rid of the law with it. And again, Trump, they say that, oh, Trump has a plan and he's going to give us all our stimulus checks and he's been waiting for this. No, what Trump should have done was given the stimulus checks month by month by month with his signature. That's what he should have done.
Basic income. Universal basic income.
UBI. He should have done that. He should have nationalized the wages. He should have furloughed workers, not fired workers, and say, look, we'll pay 75, 80% of your wages. He should have done that, but he didn't do it, and neither did the Congress. That's what people are focused on right now. So yeah, look, Gerald Ford, Bill Clinton, George H.W. Bush, and remember George H.W. Bush actually had William Barr, who's a little loyalist. He's not really an attorney general. He pardoned all the Iran-Contra scandal people. He pardoned all of them. So every president does it. So I'm not really worried about that.
Whatever happened to Scooter Libby?
I don't know.
Scooter Libby. He was also. But the point is well taken that what Trump had done for his political ally Roger Stone is corrupt, but it's not unheard of. It's been happening administration after administration after administration.
Especially by me.
Unheard of. Bill Clinton.
I did it myself. I was mad at Hillary. I didn't know if I loved her anymore, and I thought I'm a part of myself. Oh, it's the truth. and so that's the thing, is that with Trump, I think that he is doing it at a really, really weird time. But I think you're right. He might be thinking, no one's really focused on that right now. The media is all focused on Russia. I mean, they are focused on Roger Stone, but maybe this will help me forget. This will help people forget, what I did during the pandemic, what I did wrong, or hey, I want this to be a distraction from the Russia story, which it wouldn't be, or it could be him just messing up politically, because Trump is a genius on the campaign trail, but he doesn't really have good political instincts. So I'm very curious to see what happens.
I just find it convenient that he had done it a day after the Supreme Court decision on his taxes. I also find it interesting that he had commuted Roger Stone's sentence ultimately a couple days before Roger Stone was supposed to report to jail or report to prison, maybe to save him from COVID, or, as Donald Trump would, Donald Trump has very offensive and racist terms for COVID-19. But the point of the matter is, it's conveniently right before Roger Stone would have to go in and potentially catch the virus. So, and a day after the decision that was made on Donald Trump's taxes, how he had to make his tax returns public, and he is not above the law. Maybe he wanted to flex his muscle to SCOTUS, to the Supreme Court.
Maybe. You never know. So what's coming up on the No Nonsense podcast?
Well, we have plenty coming up. We are actually going to have an episode coming Friday evening where we'll have a panel of folks, experts who will talk about their dreams and how dreams are perceived from the point of view of a blind individual, a visually impaired or low vision individual, a high partial individual, and a fully sighted individual. So we're going to get different points of view from different folks on how they perceive dreams given their visual acuities. So it's going to be a nice conversation about dreams and just how we enjoy our night visions. So you guys should check that out. It's coming out Friday, July 17th, around 7:30 in the evening. So be sure to check that out. And we have some episodes that just came out today that should be checked out. We got our Mumbo Jumbo, which was an open forum discussion. Then we had a conversation about blindness and COVID with a great friend of ours, Miss Mausam Mehta.
Yeah, I love Mausam.
Yeah, Mausam's a great individual.
Yeah.
And we also had another episode of our Tech Talk with Jason series with
the
one and only Jason Alamillo. So,
that's right. I'm right here.
Be sure to check all that stuff out. But I will say, please, folks, viewers, pay close attention to what's going on right now between the United States and Russia in Afghanistan. We need to make sure we make clear that we don't want another 20 years of war in Afghanistan. Bring our troops home, period, full stop. No, just bring back 4,000 troops. No, bring all our troops home. End of story.
Yeah, good one. And we're going to have Naim on. There's a conversation with Ryan Grimm and Sagar and Jetty from The Hill from 2 weeks ago, where they talk about Benjamin Netanyahu, who's the prime minister of Israel. We're going to talk Israel politics. We're going to have a whole series. It's going to be called Israel Politics with Naim Abu-El Hawa. You good with that name?
I look forward to it. Now, I am a proud Palestinian, and my parents, my family members have experienced the Israeli oppression firsthand. So I hope I can speak to the dynamic that's going on the ground over there, for folks to get a better idea of what's going on. And I really look forward to having a meaningful, intellectual, and informative discussion with Jason Alamillo. And with all respect to all folks of all backgrounds, political ideologies, and cultures alike, because we cannot move forward unless we think, discuss, and intellectually grow together.
Yeah, so I can't wait for the Israel politics one. There's going to be a whole big series because there's going to be so many episodes. So that's going to be our next episode with Naim Abu-El Hawa. And please tune in, like, comment, subscribe below. And I'm going to put the link to the last video we did with me and Naim and Oscar. I will put the No Nonsense podcast link there so you can subscribe to that channel, subscribe to this one, and so thank you, Naim, for being a guest on the podcast. You're my first ever guest, by the way.
Thank you. I look forward to being a more frequent guest, and I really do look forward to the Israel politics series, because there will be so much for us to cover in terms of history and the current political atmosphere back home in Palestine.
Yeah. That's going to be a good one. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.